Ho, 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 ho. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. I'm very grateful to be here today, and I look forward to being your humble servant. And if I'm not humble, you can humble me. I trust that all of you are feeling as well as you can be in this moment, those who are joining now. And of course, viewers from the future. Of course, technically all viewers are from the future, because even light takes some time to reach its destination. So you see me in the past. But yes, I'm very grateful to have another day and be joined with so many lovely people. If any of you want to ever share how you're doing, you know, I would love to hear, especially at the start of our live stream. It's my intention for this space as being one, for us to come together as fellow students of life, to appreciate each other, take refuge in each other's experiences, and share positive sentiments. Hello, dear Zoran. From Serbia, welcome. Namaskaram, dear Stevie G. If any of you have feelings that you want to share, please let me know. Of course, it's always a personal choice. Whether you share them or not, don't feel obligated by any way. But you're feeling great, dear Stevie G. You woke up from a nap and then ate fast food and a rom-com. Sounds like a day of comfort. I like that. Do you have any insights that you've had recently? I would love to hear some of your reflections. Happy to see all the positivity and gratitude. Oh, thank you, dear Fiddle Leaf. It is the solstice, isn't it? A very important day. And I'm certainly looking forward to the days getting longer. Hello, dear UK history. Dear Sherry Ann. Dear Zoran. You're wondering if I believe in destiny. I think there are things in life that seem to be predetermined, but there's a lot of things that are also determined by us. And I think the beautiful thing about karma in Eastern philosophy is that it makes room for both. That your destiny is determined by your actions presently, and hypothetically, actions in past lives too. So it's both a philosophy of free will and destiny simultaneously. But yeah, I'm very grateful for longer days, as it's nice to have more light in the life, especially being as north as I am in Canada. Mind you, I'm as south as I can be in Canada. But the solstice is a very significant time for many cultures around the world. If you have any celebrations that you do just for the nature of the solstice, I'd love to hear them. And dear Mama Sophia, you share you're happy that tomorrow is the shortest day. Yeah. Dear UK, you share you've recently been channeling your worldview with a life coach. Well, that sounds really transformative. Thank you, dear Jason, for the 10 fest bursts that you sent. Never expected, but deeply appreciated. Radhe, Radhe. And dear Bobby Sue, thank you for your heart me. Your team bracelet, cheer you up, and finger heart too. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Dear Stevie G, you're wondering about the show and tell. Yes, we do have one today, but I know that yours is coming up next in our next live stream. There was one that was submitted before you though, just to let you know. Dear G, you write, when you have your bank of love, she will be called karma. How profound. I like that a lot. Did you just come up with such a beautiful thing on the spot? It wouldn't surprise me. Welcome, dear Paul. Dear Fiddle Leaf, you share you just posted one in Discord. A show and tell? Or a celebration for the solstice? Probably. I love the concept of a bank of love, dear G. Dear Stevie G, you write you're going to a spiritual festival for Winter Solstice and hosting a group discussion Sunday. I love to hear that. That sounds really exciting, dear Stevie G. Gotcha, dear Fiddle Leaf, for the solstice. So, as I said, I do have a show and tell that was submitted. I'm also very much looking forward to Stevie G's the next time. But today's show and tell is really unique, and I'd love to hear your thoughts surrounding it. Today's show and tell comes from Phil, who sends just a single photo of the Kumari Ghar in Nepal, Kathmandu. And I had to do some research surrounding it. I'll show you the photo in just a moment, but let me tell you what Phil wrote about it. Phil had written that the Kumari Deva looked out from the balcony shortly after the photo, and we were given strict instructions not to photograph her, and Phil was wondering about opinions on the practice from me. So I had never heard of this before. Maybe some of you have. Allow me to bring it up on screen. I didn't exactly know at first what Phil was asking about. Is it on screen yet? Where is it? There it is. Let me zoom in for you. It's a beautiful photograph. But apparently the Kumari Ghar is where a young girl lives, the Kumari Devi, and she's regarded as a form of the divine, a feminine divine, Devi, and she lives here until she turns 13 or so, and then a new Kumari Devi is chosen. And so while she lives here, she is treated like the divine feminine, and I don't exactly know what that entails for her. I only had a few minutes to prepare after I saw this, but I imagine it sounds like it could be very controversial, and I can only hope that she's, really taken care of respectfully, and it's a consensual thing. But I would be certainly open to understanding more about the Kumari Devi. But what a beautiful building, at the very least. You can see all of the art at such an impeccable scale. Here we see some multi-headed form of the divine. Dear U, you share your Nepali and you can confirm. Well, if you have any insights about this, I'd be very interested in learning more. What does that say? It says Shri Pancha. I can't read the next word. Bhat or Bhad or Bud. Bhagavat. Shri is an honorific. Pancha means 5, and Bhagavat means divine. So this means probably the 5th something of the divine. But I do appreciate honoring the divine feminine. Welcome, dear Rex Ann. You've never heard of this, dear Sky Guardian? Yeah, me neither. But yeah, I'm I'm still honoring the building. There's a lot to look at, and this is just a single photograph. I'm sure we could be spending a while here. So Phil had written that she had poked her head out the window, but no one's allowed to photograph her. So this was just moments before. She's probably somewhere up there. DVG, you were sharing about how Sadhguru has spoken of humans nowadays being treated as the divine. A lot of them are usually Devis, but you think some are Devas. You don't know if you're right about that part though. Well, I think I understand that. Yeah. Devi, Deva being divine masculine, divine feminine. Sadhguru makes a big deal about looking up to the divine as a possibility within yourself, which I think is really beautiful. Since if we put people on a pedestal as something higher than us, even if they are divine, then how can we hold accountability for us not being at a level which is certainly possible for them, if that makes sense? So many different ways of understanding the divine across the world. Anyway, I would like to move on though, but thank you very much. I wish I had more opinions about Kumari Devi, but given that this is the first time myself hearing about such a practice, I think it would be unfit for me to give an opinion until I was more learned. But thank you, dear Phil, for sharing such a beautiful photo and engaging me in an interesting and new concept. Thank you, everyone, for exploring it with me. And if you ever want to share something of your own, do check out the show and tell submission form in the link tree in the bio. And I'd love to hold space here for what you have to share. That is a bit of a more darker topic, dear UK history, but still important to talk about. You ask about the correlation between child marriage and religious text. To me, that's, well, of course, a very sensitive topic. I have yet to read about a religious text that describes the process of child marriage. Of course, I want to really respect the tradition, but also the young children that get unfortunately forced into these situations. And in modern times, I see that around the world we're moving away from that, which I think is a good thing, because it doesn't make sense in the age that we live for someone much younger than you to be involuntarily a part of a marriage, because a marriage should be a consensual process, I think. And I look forward to the progress that we continue to make in the direction of making it absolutely everyone's choice and the ability for people to back out whenever. One of the things to understand about the Indian scriptures called the Vedas is that they come in two parts. The first part is called the Karmakāṇḍa, and the second part is called the Jñānakāṇḍa. The Karmakāṇḍa deals with rituals, and that would probably be included in the Karmakāṇḍa, if it were to be. And the Jñānakāṇḍa is very interesting. It deals with the philosophical component, the spirituality of the religion. And when you read it in the Jñānakāṇḍas, it's almost like you get to that point and it says, okay, if you're reading this far, then that means you successfully navigated past the Karmakāṇḍa and weren't drawn into it. And so here's where the real stuff comes out. And so the Jñānakāṇḍa kind of turns over the Karmakāṇḍa and says, don't worry about the rituals. All of that is not going to lead to ultimate happiness. If you really want to be happy, then understand that you are beyond the body, beyond the mind, and things like that. So it's fascinating that parts of the same scripture overturn other parts once you get further into it, which is really counterintuitive and paradoxical, I think, in the most beautiful ways. But the Jñānakāṇḍa definitely has my heart. I think it's the Karmakāṇḍa that the Buddha didn't like, when religious scholars talk about how the Buddha didn't like the Vedas. It's definitely the Karmakāṇḍa that he was talking about. But he certainly draws a lot of terminology from the Jñānakāṇḍa concerning samsara and nirvana, and ironically, the philosophy surrounding karma. Hello, dear Bubbles. Hello, dear Argo. That's a great a comparison, dear Fiddleleaf, that the New Testament counters the Old Testament in many ways, and yet it's also included in the same book for Christians. I think it's really important to have an evolution of religion, to have ancient roots, but also progressivity over time, progression. Welcome, dear Miyananda. I like finding connections between different texts, religions, and philosophies. So many paradoxes are actually perfectly consistent if you're willing to transcend some logical rules. Sheen, you had asked if I'm a prolific dreamer. Well, I certainly dream a lot when I am asleep, but it's almost exhausting at times because I dream all through the night, and then in the morning I'm so tired because I'm not in the deep part of REM sleep. I was listening to a spiritual teacher about a year ago who's talking about how people who do lifelong spiritual practice, often they stop dreaming at some point. And I don't know if that means that their dreams are more unified with what they experience while awake, or something different, but I think it's really interesting, the idea that the longer one continues in their meditative practice, the less they need to process things like dreams at sleep, and they can just deeply sleep all through the night. Thank you, dear Babel Fishy, for the tiny that you sent. Yippee! But I am curious to know how much of you are big dreamers too. I think the default is we are all big dreamers, but not all of us have practiced remembering our dreams. And sometimes our dreams just aren't worthy of remembering. Thank you, dear Fiddleleaf Fig, for the rose you sent too. Ram. Dear G, you share when people traveled the world, they shared their knowledge, and it became like a broken telephone. That is something I think I take for granted sometimes, is that, you know, we wonder why so many cultures seem to differ and some pretty core values if they all speak for universal truths. But they didn't have the internet. So by the time someone heard a teaching, let's say in China, and they walked through India and all the way through the Mediterranean, Middle East, and they arrived in England, and then they retold the same truth, I imagine that it went through a bit of an evolution on that journey too. We don't have the internet today to be able to just send a message instantly. We're so much more able to interface with other cultures. I think that's really beautiful. Yeah, dear Billy, you also wrote that you think everyone dreams, but not everyone remembers them. And dear Soph, you're wondering when to catch my lives. Yes, I know it's a little late in the UK right now. I am a little later than usual. I try for about 5 p.m. Pacific time. I was an hour late today as I went to watch a play performed by my friend and did some things when I got home before starting my live. But yeah, I'd certainly be happy to explore even earlier times too, especially for my European audience, for example. Well, welcome everyone. I would like to end our Shravana section of our live stream, which is dedicated to listening from a new perspective with a reading from our novel, Moksha, Liberation, A Woman's Journey to Self-Discovery and Freedom from Suffering by Tara. We are like 3/4 of the way through the book thus far. So let's see where we left off. We left off reading, our protagonist was in the Himalayas. She had decided to go with Sid, who is secretly Shiva, a form of the divine incarnate, here to remind her of her true identity also as the divine feminine, that is. She had went into the Himalayas to try to run away from some unfortunate things that were happening. And she went up into the foothills, saw a beautiful lake, and then decided that she wanted to trek even deeper. But then it started hailing, and they went into a shed, or a little house, that was homed by some mountain people. And these mountain people were very hospitable, but it turns out that someone else had trekked to the same place, and that was Jonas Gerhard, brother of her late husband that had passed away, and son of Gerhard Industries that she had blackmailed with a video of Jonas doing something illegal and something pretty dark revolving around, I think, doing something with minors, unfortunately. Anyway, Sid was there, and Sid threw him out, literally, picked him up, chucked him out into the snow, and even fired some shots at him, but thankfully, I don't think he hit those shots. And that's where we left off, with our protagonist scared. Even though she was being protected by Sid, she didn't expect him to pull out a gun. But this is a fictional story, so don't worry. We'll certainly see many themes of forgiveness and redemption as we go through. Sounds like a lot of drama, shares Scott. It is a lot of drama. Indeed. All right. So let's continue to see Sid's protective role come through. and see how our protagonist's fear transforms as the story continues. Welcome, dear Mariham. May this reading relax your mind and awaken your heart. They had left the house to continue. The sublime landscape of our ascent, the flower-filled alpine meadows and brilliant snow-capped mountains had been transformed into one of cold indifference. Thick fog surrounded us, making trudgy downhill more treacherous than the uphill climb. I stayed close behind Sid, treading carefully but sure-footedly to avoid slick patches of ice, slush, loose boulders, and gravel. I silently chanted, "So-hum, So-hum," a mantra that means "I am that," referring to the divine, and shut out all thought. It was when we stopped to rest after an hour of steady plodding, I love that word, plodding, that I became overcome by an overwhelming fatigue. A convulsing headache and dizziness followed. I began to shiver. "I'm burning up," I said. "I'm not going to make it." But Sid appeared unconcerned. "Altitude sickness. We've been going too fast," he said. "But I've been taking pills, yet I feel nauseous." He was staring up at the darkening sky. "It's about to storm again. There's a cave near here where we can wait it out." "I can't move." He gathered me up, knapsack, hiking poles and all, and struck a cross-slope maneuver that got us into the trees, then stopped to take his bearings. "I'm sorry," I said. "I really can't walk." I was calm and at peace. I was not going to escape. I was going to die in this lonely, God-forsaken place, I had decided. Wasn't this what I had longed for all along? "There it is." He was pointing to a mass of dense foliage a few feet away. He set me down unceremoniously, pulled leafy branches aside, and disappeared into a hollow that had been camouflaged by the shrubbery. He came out waving his flashlight. "Checking for bears," he said. I struggled up and we entered the hollow. He rearranged the foliage across the opening, then spun his flashlight around, examining what I could see was a fairly large space. Slivers of light seeped in between the twigs and branches spread across the opening. I lowered myself onto a stone ledge a foot off the ground, covered myself with a blanket, and tucked my knapsack under my head. He placed the flashlight at my side. I was feverish and could barely breathe. The shelf, while narrow, was level and the cave dry and warm. I slept fitfully, conscious of the hard rain that had begun and my worsening condition. My nose was running, my headache had reached migraine proportions, and my throat was parched. Even so, I must have slept. Suddenly I was up, clutching the flashlight and waving it wildly in a wide arc. I was alone. I lay back. If Sid had gone for help, the rescue party would be too late. On the other hand, he may not have gone for help. His erratic behavior had been disturbing, but would he abandon me? I rolled off the ledge and fell to the ground on all fours. I managed a painful crawl to the opening, where I parted a few branches. The rain was coming down in sheets, with thunder and sudden flashes of lightning that lit up the trees. I was turning away when I saw him, out in the open, lit bizarrely by a sudden flash of light. He was bare-chested, and his body exuded an eerie white tinge. Rivulets circled around his bare feet. The hard rain slapped against his back. Thunder roared, lightning flashed, but he was completely still, untouched. There was a sudden moment, a movement, and to my horror, a thick black and yellow striated snake slithered over his feet, then disappeared into the underbrush. I screamed and screamed, but made no sound. As if hearing me, he slowly began to turn in my direction, but I fell back, lost my footing, and collapsed to the ground. Why don't we pause our reading of Moksha, liberation, there for now. Right on a cliffhanger, almost literally, being up in the caves of the cliffs of the Himalayas. Beautiful symbolism there. Anyone wants to share feelings of the story so far, you're welcome to. Or similar experiences being out in nature. I hope no one ever has to go through a situation where they're in such a survival situation like that, but they can make for some pretty interesting stories, that for sure. I'm glad you liked the writing, dear Fiddleleaf. Me too. I love the symbolism of nature in general in stories as something out of control, as something that you must respect, as a transformer. Always a kind of passing of the threshold when a character in a story has to go through the elements of nature. Anyway, thank you all for listening. I look forward to continuing with this story next time. That concludes our Shravana section, dedicated to new perspectives, but welcome everyone that joined while we were reading. My attention's back on you. Welcome, dear Jay. And dear Ella. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your trio of roses, by the way. Om Hrim Namah Shivaya. If anyone wants to share what's on their hearts and minds, I am fully open to that. And let me transition scenes now to our Manana section, dedicated to Q&A. Dear Stevie G, you're wondering, who was the man she found out of the cave? Well, this is my interpretation, since she was brought in there with Siddh, and she woke up alone, and Siddh is secretly Shiva, then I imagine the man that she saw outside of the cave was Shiva. Not to spoil it. Dear Sky Guardian, you're wondering what page are we on? Let me check for you. In the meantime, if anyone has any insights they want to share, stories of their own, now is the perfect time. We are on page 174, dear Sky Guardian G. Dear Ella, you share your chihuahuas are snoring. I love that. I hope that's a relaxing sound for you. But yeah, what is on your hearts, everyone? It would be an honor to be able to hold space for what you carry within. I am drinking out of a wine cup, dear Sky Guardian. Though I'm not drinking wine, in case you were wondering. I am drinking orange juice. But I love wine cups. Or it's Swami juice, remember? I'm happy you enjoyed the reading, dear Stevie G. You love apple juice, dear Ella. I'm a big juice fan too. I was brought up on so much apple juice that my parents said that's all my diapers smelt like. And I like to imagine that whereas other children's diapers were a terrible experience, I imagine mine also were at other times. It wasn't as bad, given the sweet fragrance of apples. UK history, you love orange juice over apple juice. I'm a big fan of both of them. I think apple juice can be so crisp. Orange juice just has a nice kind of texture to it, especially when you have the pulp. I would love to know if you are pro-pulp or not. Just as UK history also asks, bits or no bits? I'm a big fan of bits. Dear Ella, you like cranberry mixed with apple? Ah, I like that. I think it's so cute that us as humans, we have favorite things like that. Favorite juices. Yeah, the blue and yellow are definitely complementary in the cup. You can almost see the whole universe in this cup. Ooh. As Rumi would say, you are not a drop of water in the ocean. You are the ocean in a drop. In this case, this is not merely a drop in orange juice, but orange juice in a drop. We'll workshop it. Welcome, dear Snuffleupagus, or dear Magdalene Rangy. Dear Marcy, you are on Team Cran Grape Supremacy. We got some passionate juice goers here. You like pulp, dear Stevie G, as well as Marcy and UK, as well as Magdalene G and J. Well, it seems like we're all pro pulp here, or pro bits. I think it's really interesting how preferences can change based on where we are in the world. I imagine that those who are born in more tropical places probably have a favorite of a more tropical kind of fruit, like guava, mango, things like that. Or maybe because you don't experience those delicacies, that those are your favorites. I could see it going both ways. Good evening, dear Haley, dear Melinda. You have an orange tree in your backyard. That's lovely. I've got a couple of fruit trees too. I've got a cherry tree and a pear tree, and they're both delicious. Dear G, you were wondering if anyone is spending the holidays alone. Beautiful question, dear G. I echo that question. You're feeling sentimental about the darkest winter night. Yeah. I know the holiday time can be one of lots of communion and sometimes lots of isolation too. I hope if you are feeling alone that you feel welcome here. You're wondering if I eat onions and garlic? I know where that question comes from. You're asking if I stick to a Sattvic diet and avoid Rajasic and Tamasic foods. I can certainly have the confidence in saying that I try my best, but sometimes I do. Especially if I go out to a restaurant and there's really no other alternative. But if I can, absolutely. Yeah, when I'm making something at home for myself, I have gone off Rajasic ingredients like those and stick to Sattvic. Yes, I agree though. Garlic tastes so good. Fortunately, lots of other things taste good too. And so you never have to worry about not eating tasty food. I know that we have a lot of strong lovers for garlic here, so I'll have to hold my lips together in case I say anything that creates a division. You try telling someone that to use less garlic in their life. You'll have your head on a post very quickly. But I respect diverse diets, and everyone's bodies are different. You'll never take my garlic, Ayurvedic boy. You're funny, dear Marcy. Hello, Tanja. Good evening, dear Miller. Dear Ella, you had written that you've got a cherry and apple and gooseberry and pear tree. Wow. What's a gooseberry? Does it go quack when you eat it? Quack. Is where geese come from. They're born from geeseberries. They grow into geese after you plant them. No, dear Bubbles, garlic is not considered Sattvic traditionally. It is considered Rajasic. But, that said, it is important in Ayurveda. And some of the really important herbs in Ayurveda are considered Rajasic or even Tamasic. And the reason for why, in the same philosophy that it's preferred that you eat Sattvic foods, but there's also an importance to some Rajasic and Tamasic herbs, is because some herbs are more medicinal than nutritional. And in Ayurveda, garlic is treated more of a medicinal, that you'd use it when you're in need of the medicinal properties rather as a base for a meal. So it's still regarded highly, just used in a different context. Dear Piddleif, you ask, isn't it nice that food tastes good? Of course. That's one of the best things going for it, isn't it? One of the mine's moving faster than my tongue again. One of the important things about a Sattvic diet is eating very flavorful food too. Food that's full of nice flavors. Bland food is considered tamasic. Dear Savicini, you're wondering, am I ticklish? I think I am. I think I'm very ticklish, yeah. But I also have a pretty strong ability to not be tickled when I'm not in the mood for it. But if I'm in the mood for it, it's one of my favorite things, actually. I love being tickled and I love tickling. I think it's such a wholesome thing to do. It's a way of a very innocuously overpowering someone, that you're not actually taking away from their freedom, because if it's consensual you can stop, or you can, you know, swat their hand away or whatever, but you just laugh and giggle. I think it's fun, as long as it's consensual, of course. But I appreciate the joy and connection it creates. I think it's really cute when lovers tickle each other, for example. It's a little precious bonding moments. Dear Magdalene, you ask, can we leave orange juice and ghee cheese out for Yamta Claus? That's so sweet. I would love that. But I echo my grandfather, who said, I never met a cookie I didn't like. Dear Bubbles, you ask, so what if you needed medicinal donuts? In that context, could you still follow a Sattvic diet? Actually, a Sattvic diet does include room for sweet treats. It's perhaps the only diet that recommends that every now and then you give yourself a sweet treat. The idea is that it relies heavily on fruits and sweets derived from fruits. So fruit-flavored sweets, especially derived from sugars that come from fruit. Natural sugars. Not that glucose that you get, but sucrose, I believe. Sugar is one that comes in many different forms. And natural sugars are very much recommended in a Sattvic diet. But everything in moderation, of course. Dear Bubbles, you wonder if Julab Gamun counts. That's a good question. I'm actually not familiar with that sweet treat. But it sounds too delicious. Just by the name. Just by that sound, you know? Julab Gamun. That does sound like a sweet treat, like bonbon. It is quite tasty. Always follow the path of least resistance upwards. Dear Jay, you share, your ex used to tickle you with no mercy. After a while, you didn't really enjoy it. Yeah. That is why it's important to have consent. It's a moment of breaking trust, and you might have to spend the rest of your day rebuilding that trust. And if you don't, well, then that of course can lead to trust problems as the relationship evolves. Make sure that psychologists say you balance out every negative interaction in a relationship with at least 5 positive interactions. That's the magic ratio. Sky Guardian, are you practicing Satya? Are you talking about mixing garlic, onion, and milk together? You saying you introduced it to me and I really love it? How come I don't remember that, dear Sky Guardian G? Dear Jay, you're asking for more clarification on what's wrong with onions and garlic, as you thought garlic was thought of as a superfood. Well, different cultures, different traditions have different relationships to the ratios of different things in their diet. But there's nothing wrong with garlic or onion. But in Ayurveda, it's believed to be more of a medicinal. It has a lot of excellent effects. And I'm not sure of the total extent of the positive effects of garlic. I'd love to know from you or Anya. And so it's absolutely used, but just in a different way than we use it in the West. We like to use it as a major component of many dishes, whereas it's in Ayurveda probably made in medicines primarily and wouldn't be considered a major ingredient. Assuming, that is, you're following a Sattvic diet. This is the diet for yogis. If you're not planning on being a yogi, then don't worry so much. It has antibiotic effects. Yeah, that is one of them. And what is your name? Oh, one who has a single comma. You're not a robot. But yeah, the difference stems in seeing it as from a culinary point of view or a medicinal point of view. Dear Ooh, you're wondering, do I believe that onions and garlic make one prone to anger? I didn't notice it until I started paying attention, but yeah, from my personal experience, usually after I eat food that's high in onion and garlic, and I have trouble sleeping or meditating, or I'm very reactive, or my mind is overreactive, I can see the connection. That when I eat a very simple diet that is sattvic for a day, then I don't notice those things. I'm able to go to bed easier. I'm often a lot more timid in my mood too. And I think it's an important point that the importance of a sattvic diet comes when you're sensitive to that. But if you're not sensitive to it, then how will you be motivated to make that difference? But as soon as you start noticing that, then it becomes a natural decision. So I wouldn't impose on anyone to make that decision before you start paying attention to those things. And then once you do, now you know. But every body is different. Dear Stevie G, you share that yogis also speak of mushrooms not being best to eat. Why is that? Great question, dear Stevie G. There are many kingdoms of life. There's the animal kingdom, the fungi kingdom. Indeed, it is pronounced fungi. the plant kingdom, and the prokaryote kingdom. Of the kingdoms that are eukaryotic, which includes plants, fungi, and animals, plants are the simplest, and so yogis recommend plants because they're very easy to digest. Cellularly, animal cells and fungi cells are very complicated, having things like mitochondria, which are a much more recent advancement evolutionary-wise than the chloroplasts of a cell. A lot of the reasoning in the yogi's preferences comes down to the simplicity of the food, and it's amazing that it correlates in modern times to molecular understanding, to microbiology. That if you look at animal cells, plant cells, and fungi cells under the microscope, that all of the foods that the yogis recommend are so simple in their chemical makeup. So it's about giving your body a really easy time while covering all of your nutritional bases. But again, that's if you're a yogi. If you're inspired to follow the path of yoga, then that can be really helpful. It's not considered mandatory if you have some other dharma or duty in life. But always make sure that you cover your nutrition. Make sure you get your macronutrients, your micronutrients. That's, of course, most important. Hello, dear old water. Hello, dear Wes. You're wondering, is Kriya Yoga separate from the 8 limbs? That's a great question. When you go through Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which are the earliest scriptures on yoga, I don't think you will find a reference to Kriya Yoga. In the Ashtanga Yoga system of 8 limbs, Kriya is not one of them, but it's not mutually exclusive because the 8 limbs of yoga are not the only way of categorizing all the different schools of yoga. For example, instead of the 8 limbs of yoga, another great text on yoga, the Bhagavad Gita, talks about a 3-fold system, which includes Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of action, knowledge, and devotion. Sometimes there's a 4th included, which is Raja Yoga, the royal yoga, the yoga of meditation. But the reason why there are so many yogas is really what answers this question. Yoga is traditionally regarded as one of the 6 classical schools of Indian philosophy, and yoga is one that covers all bases. So instead of really seeing yoga as a collection of paths, it's an all-encompassing path. And so the idea is to bring a sense of union, which is what the word yoga means, into all areas of life. Kriya by itself is already all-expansive, so it doesn't need to be divided like the Ashtanga Yoga system or the system in the Bhagavad Gita. And it's fully compatible. All yogas are compatible with other, and there's lots of overlap. Dear Josen, you share, you've definitely found lots of benefit in Kriya Yoga. It's a very powerful path. I think it's often called the lightning path. And for those that are curious, Kriya Yoga, Kriya, by the way, means action. So does karma. Another word for action besides karma in Sanskrit is kriya. But the karma kind of action has a different kind of sentiment. The Kriya kind of action has to do more with what we do with this body for its own sustenance, maintenance, and spiritual evolution as an instrument. So it's like inner action. The yoga of inner action, you could translate that too, I think. Whereas karma yoga is the yoga of outer action, how you deal with other people. And it all revolves around something called the Kriya breath, which is where you take your awareness and you concentrate it on the spine, which is seen as like the antenna of God. And then you wash it up and down, clear it of all of its samskaras, impressions from past lives, and bring the energy on average higher and higher to burst out of the top and merge with divine consciousness. Very powerful, as taught by Paramahansa Yogananda and his chain of gurus, which I recently made a video about, sharing a relationship between their lineage and my life. What does that mean, dear Rahina? You do the path of the pipe for your yoga. Are you referring to plumbing? You do plumbing yoga. That's karma yoga. You help others in your work and your action. Or maybe you're referring to a different kind of pipe. A kind that Gandalf might use. But I like the idea of a pipe. A pipe delivers you to your destination. Your spine is your pipe. Your divine pipe. But fortunately, yoga for the most part does not require external substances, as it is an engagement of internal systems that are beautifully developed to the point in a human being where they can be accessed internally. Now, thank you, dear Rahina, for the heartbeat that you had sent. Om Dum Durgaya Namah. Salutations to the Fierce Mother. And dear Fiddleaf, thank you for your heartmate. Om Shri Mahalakshmi. Salutations to... Oh, I didn't even do the Namaha at the end of that. Let me redo that. Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Salutations to the Great Mother of Prosperity. Dear Ella, thank you for your trio of roses too. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. I don't know what you're apologizing for, dear Amanda, but you are always forgiven. Oh, dear Ella, I'm sorry I missed your comment. What are your thoughts and feelings on Osho? Well, I only have positive experience seeing his teachings. All of his teachings have been very provoking, and I recognize the mischief of that soul, and I appreciate his lectures. But Osho wasn't always known as Osho, and before he was known as Bhagwan Rajneesh. And Bhagwan means the personal incarnate divine, so his followers looked up to him as an incarnation of the divine. He has had a huge impact, and unfortunately not all of it has been positive. Some people express that in the community that he had founded there was abuse going on, and there's documentaries about that. So I honor those perspectives too. If anyone has experienced something like that, trauma or abuse, that always should be taken seriously too. But at the same time, I don't think that takes away from the profundity of some of his teachings. I don't know the full context of how that teaching was used to conduct behavior in their communities, for example. But in his later life, when he moved away from that and he was titled as Osho, I think he had some really beautiful things to share, and definitely had a personal journey of growth and how he expresses his spirituality as well. He was very good at making people laugh, that's for sure. But a complex individual with many perspectives that I value. That is right, dear Amanda. But it's nice to see his growth over time. And I know a lot of his followers still love him and look up to him. I respect that too. Dear Ella, you share that I mentioned in another live stream about transgender people, and in light of so much hatred, what do I have to share on that? Oh, it breaks my heart to see hatred. There's all sorts of nuances in our society that we have to work out, and it should always be done with respect and love and care. And when we study tradition, it might come as a surprise that if you go back far enough in time, there's huge precedent for people who are non-binary or even transgender. Of course, it's very different today, and there's lots of new problems that come with modern technology, like the ability to perform surgeries that couldn't happen before, and that's a sensitive topic, and if we do go into it, I'd like to do it with a lot of care and caution. But absolutely, there's examples of even spiritual traditions that include more than just two genders. For example, there's a word in Sanskrit for someone who questions their gender, who's maybe curious about their gender. The name in Sanskrit, which is a language like thousands of years old, is Kimpurusha. Someone called Kimpurusha is someone who questions their gender. And there's even some forms of the divine that are Kimpurusha. The oldest example is a form of the divine called Ida. Ida is spelled in two different ways, because in Vedic Sanskrit it was a kind of L sound, but you curl your tongue back. But they went away with that sound in classical Sanskrit, and so it became Ida, more of a D sound than an L. So if you read the Vedas, you might see it written Ida, but if you go on the Wikipedia page, which uses classical Sanskrit, it's Ida, in case you want to learn more about their story. Ida is a beautiful example of a form of the divine that goes through a transition of their gender and even experiences what it's like to experience, excuse my redundancy of words, goes through what it's like to experience misogyny while female and not while male. And I think it's amazing that that's encoded in a text that's thousands of years older than even the Bible, for example. So yeah, I think when people use the argument that, it goes against God or whatever, I hold space for the fact that there have been traditions that are thousands of years old that have honored the fact that gender is often ambiguous and not a strict binary. So in light of all the hate, I hope that we can honor some of those ancient perspectives, as ironically they're perhaps more applicable in modern times, more than ever. But many different cultures, many different traditions viewed gender differently across time and across space. And all of that goes to say that there is no one answer. It all depends on what perspective you're looking from, and I hope that we continue to hold enough space for other people's perspectives and make sure that everyone gets the freedom to choose how they express themselves. Yeah, you're not alone in that, dear Ella. It's your empathy that you feel very strongly for people who are oppressed, suppressed, and that's a beautiful part of you. I encourage you to continue to hold space for patience, as hard as that can be at times. I know I struggle with that too, but as long as we can hold space for peace at the same time, that's what's most important. Empathy is a deeply spiritual thing, of course. Dear LAS, you're wondering if I can tell a person's past incarnations on other planets. What a really interesting idea. Well, if we assume that there is reincarnation and you can reincarnate from other planets, then in theory, yeah, you would be able to put some pieces of the puzzle together and extrapolate. That has a lot to do with the concept of karma, and specifically something called sanchita karma, which is the karma from all past lives. And the part of that that gets expressed in our life is all the things that happen to us that are out of our control within the context of this life. That's called the prarabdha karma. So if you could study the prarabdha karma, if you could study the things that happen to you in this life that are out of your control, then perhaps you can extrapolate into past lives too. Mind you, I'm not qualified to do that. That's just the theory. And I imagine it would take a lot of careful deconstruction, and I'm sure a lot of caution surrounding making sure that we're not trying to validate a conclusion before we get there, but just assess the evidence and see what the natural conclusion is, instead of trying to look for evidence to support a particular claim. We would have to be very scientific about it, I think. But it's a fun idea in general. But the most important karma is something called Kriyamana karma, which is the karma that we create within the context of this life. That is to say, the actions that we are doing today. Ultimately, it can be helpful to know where we have come from, but it's all about what's in the present moment that's most important. And there's a scientific way of being where you are able to attend to the present moment even without knowing where it has come from. So if you ever feel like you have to know in order to live fully now, it's not the case. Don't worry so much about figuring that out. There are ways of living fully and happily, just in the context of the present moment. Good night, dear Amanda. It's easy to have our mind begin to wander into the past or the future or things outside our current experience, which of course can be very helpful at times. But at other times it's very helpful to just engage with what we know in this moment before us now. I like the way you describe that, dear G. The energy of all our actions accumulate in the energy field around us. One's aura, you could say. Always important to acknowledge thoughts of the past and the future. It can be an interesting introspection to gauge how many thoughts are about the past or future and how many are about something that's occurring to me in this moment. It can be really illuminating. But one of the best spiritual practices, regardless, is mindfulness. I love the sentiment that you had shared earlier, dear Ella. There's the beauty that there is ultimately oneness, even if it manifests as ignorance sometimes. That is a very wise perspective. Only the divine has the power to forget its true identity. That is a miracle, isn't it? I mean, if you are a manifestation of the one, the fact that you can forget that is also divine. Because imagine being the infinite and somehow forgetting that. Well, that's just an expression of your paradoxically infinite nature. It's said in Shaivism that Shiva, as the divine, has 5 powers called the Pancha Brahma. The power to create, of course, as the creator, but also the power to sustain what you have created as the sustainer. And then when it's time to dissolve the creation, you are the dissolver. And then there's 2 other ones which are really unique. The 4th power of the divine is the ability to conceal its own nature. And of course, the 5th power is the ability to reveal its own nature again. And I love how in that model we spiritualize even the process of forgetting as not a mistake, but almost part of the fun that Shiva is going through to be able to remember again. The same one divinity, just seen from many different perspectives, again and again. Good morning, dear Mirna. How are you feeling at this moment? Welcome, dear Lisa V. I'm happy you can relate with our discussion. And a good night, dear Josand. And Oli, dear Orla. We are jazz cats tonight. And Bubbles, I like what you shared. Well, imagine being everything forever. Eventually, it's nice to do something else for a while. Beautiful. Did I say hello to you, Michelle? Hello. I am wondering how you are too. Muna, you are good? I'm happy to hear that. How are your loved ones? Oh, I love that, dear Ella. Now the edgelessness is appearing as sleepy. Oh, you are so poetic. Bye and peace to all. May you have a sleep as beautiful as you, dear Ella. Thank you for your trio of roses. Aghorebhyo tha ghorebhyo aghora ghore dharebhyaha sarvathas sarva sarvebhyo namaste rudra rupebhyaha. I am among your loved ones, dear Mirna. Really? Oh, you are too kind. You are among my loved ones too, dear Mirna. And I love the positivity in chat. It's very nice to see the wholesomeness amongst each other. Thank you for all your wholesome energy. We are all loved ones. If anyone feels not loved, you are loved. It's what humanity is meant to do. Love, indeed. But if you are feeling a lack of love right now, anyone, you're always welcome to raise your voice. I don't want anyone to feel like that they would ruin the mood by sharing something difficult that they're going through, even when we have had such a positive environment. I hope that positivity conduces being open and vulnerable and never feeling like you have to put on a mask of that positivity. I'm in Yampta mode. Unfold your G. Well, you have had some help in allowing me to reflect since yesterday. Always important. The positive thing to do is acknowledge difficult feelings. Oh, I'm sorry your connection's been having trouble, dear Mirna. Much love to you. Do know that the connection of my love never disconnects to you, even if it appears to do so. Dear Lisa V, you share you're having issues balancing your own emotions versus others and empathy. I empathize with that. It's very understandable. It's very good for you to be empathetic. Good to hold space for your emotions too, because that's the purpose of holding space for others' feelings, so that we can connect with our own. So that if others are having positive feelings and we're feeling a little low, that we can connect to that positivity in others. And if others are feeling a little low and we are feeling good in other ways, that we are able to bridge with our peace still. So make sure you hold space for your good feelings and the things you're grateful for. And you're absolutely valid for feeling the way you are, just as everyone is. But never discourage self-care. In other words, always encourage self-care. It's important you take care of yourself, so that you simultaneously have more room to hold for others, and you teach others how important it is as a role model to take care of yourself. Oh, welcome, dear Tattvam Asi, my Nepali friend. Thank you for your quintet of roses and fest burst. Om Braum Hanumate Namah. I had a question for you, dear Tattvamasi. I was wondering if you knew about what's the name of it? The Kumari Ghar and the tradition of having a Kumari Devi. That was the show and tell today. My tummy's rumbling. Make sure to give myself some good food later. Dear Bubbles, you share you like when someone asks me a math question and I go off and yamsplains. I apologize for being easily drawn to express my interest in mathematics. I know that can take away from some other important discussions we could be having. Oh, you're so here for it, dear Orla. Very kind of you. I appreciate that. Hello, dear Renvox. I like that question, Bubbles. What are some of everyone's go-to self-care activities? I'd love to discuss this for a few moments. You need the tutelage, shares Orla. I love that word, tutelage. That's what you say when you're in need of passing gas, right? Tutelage. When you need some toots, you know, to take you off the edge. Tutelage. No, don't listen to me. I'm joking. Self-care activities. Hello, dear Donsuela. Happy to see I made you laugh. Thank you, dear Ragnhildur, for your 63 roses. Kam Jahnavyai Namah. I just caught myself from going into yamsplaining a math thing about the number 63. Dear Tatvamasi, you had answered my question about the Kumari. It's a tradition of the Newars. You don't know a lot though. I'll have to learn more about the Newars, if that's how you pronounce it. But you've seen one and attended the tradition of Kumari Puja. Well, puja, of course, being the Sanskrit word for worship. So people actually worship the Kumari Devi as the divine too. How fascinating. But yeah, I had also asked in amplification of Bubbles' questions about self-care. Dear user 694, you share a face mask and gratitude journal with a scented candle. Maybe a bath prior. I like that. Yeah, sounds like you're giving yourself a very sensual environment. I mean that literally in the terms of a very nice experience for the senses. Practicing things that make you happy, remembering them, taking care of your body. Renvox, you share cutting your hedge, mowing the lawn, and eating dark chocolate. What a unique answer. I love that too. Yeah, baths are a big part of self-care for a lot of people. And it's important to have a bubble bath sometimes, if that's your thing. I like taking a bath with bubbles. Isn't that right, Bubbles? I'm happy some of you like the math explanations. Dear Orly, you share self-care, to be totally honest, allowing your natural sense of time, circular, to take over, no rush. It ends up being annoyingly radical in our linear system, but it feels more correct. Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Allowing for things to happen in cycles, not always continuous progress, but returning to comfort at times too. Dear Stevie G, you did such a beautiful chant for Shakti and Shiva just now. You feel great. Oh, I like this. Yes. Om Hrim Namah Shakti Shivaya. Yeah, I was learning about that, dear Tatvamasi, that the Kumari Devi, once she reaches her puberty, another Kumari takes her place. Very interesting. And thank you, Talitha, for your heart meet. Om Ganganapataye Namah. Yeah, I really like what you said, Orla, about cycles. Almost everything in the universe takes place in cycles. Why shouldn't things pertaining to self-care, too? Donsuela, you share checking in with your counselor or therapist is great self-care. Absolutely. Even if you feel mentally healthy, good to have a doctor. Someone to be a sounding board for some of the things in your mind. And welcome, dear Pharaoh Merman. Dear Renvox, thank you for your friendship necklace. Om Aim Saraswatyai Namah. If anyone else has any experiences in self-care, continue to be open to them. You love the jazz, dear Stevie G. You get Christmas jazzy cozy vibes from this live. Perfect. That's precisely the intention. Dear Stevie G, you had asked if my favorite number was 1752. Why would it be? Oh, that's a good question. I wonder about all the properties of 1752. Although, does that happen to be Ramanujan's taxi cab number? The number that the Indian mathematician Ramanujan identified as the taxi cab number of one of his friends going to greet him. When his friend knew that Ramanujan was a best friend with all the numbers, he had shared the taxi cab number for him to give some mathematical fact about, but he had said he didn't believe that it had any property. But Ramanujan, from his, unfortunately, I think it was his deathbed, he said that, not so, that's the smallest number that's expressible as the sum of two cubes in two different ways, I believe. Now, whether that was Ramanujan's taxi cab number, let me double check. Did you say 1729? No. 1729 was the Ramanujan taxi cab number. Or now that I know some Sanskrit, I think I have a better way of pronouncing his name. Ramanujan. Something like that. Ramanujan. Maybe. Depending on where the long vowels are. But no, you had written 1752. It's your son's favorite number, and he won't tell you why. What a unique number. Yeah. I'm not so sure, but let me see if I can look up. Maybe it's a date. It was a leap year. It was the year Britain adopted the Gregorian calendar and replaced the Julian calendar. Does your son happen to be a fan of The Gregorian calendar? Or not a fan of the Julian calendar? $17.52 can be factorized as 23 times 3 times 73. All right. Or is that right? No. Sorry, that's the AI got it wrong. It misinterpreted the exponent. It's 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 73. Otherwise, it wouldn't be an even number. It's not a perfect number, not a palindrome number, not a polygonal number of sides less than 11. And binary, binary is a little interesting. It's 11 0 11 0 11 0 0 0. I like that. But I think you'll have to ask your son. But you said he won't tell you. He has a personal relationship with it. But he loves binary conversions. Oh, well, maybe that's it. The ones and the zeros. The Prakritis and the Purushas. Saguna Brahman and Nirguna Brahman. Where's the blackboard, dear Mirna? Good question. I didn't bring it up. I was reading from a quick Google search. I see while we were having that conversation, many people shared some of their favorite numbers. I love to hear that. And many people joined. Welcome, Nak. Welcome, dear Lily. You're wondering if I celebrate Christmas. I do celebrate Christmas with my family. Elisa V, you like the number 1227, even though your birthday is 12/28. Well, you like what happens before your birthday, the idea of a universe that has come before you. You are connected to what's before this life, your past lives, perhaps. Stevie G, you like 8 and 888. Crossfires, you share as some self-care for the body. Vitamins, weightlifting, cardio, Epsom salt baths, skin oils, and skin exfoliating. Those are some really practical additions, Crossfires, yeah. Good Leaf, you like the number 11. Crossfires, you add for the mind. Self-care includes prayer and positivity. I think it's cute that we all have favorite numbers too. Dear Dalita, you like 323, which is self-centered, as it's the time you were born. Aw. Your birth time is a palindrome, much like my own. But instead of 323, it's 808. Welcome, dear Savlin. So what about the number 63, dear Ragnhildur? Yes. I was thinking about how the multiples of 9, less than 100, can all be represented by just putting one finger down and then reading how many fingers are to the left or right. So, for example, this would be 9 fingers, and then you put the next finger down. You see how there's one on the right, or let me do it the other way around. Let's start on this side. That there's 1 on the left, and then 8 on the right. That's the next multiple, 1, 8, 18. Then 2, 7, 27, then 3, 6, 36, then 4, 5, 45, then, 54. No, 45 is right. My apologies. And then 54, and then 63, 63, 72, 72, and then 81, 81, and finally 90, 90. And so your 9 times table can be learned just from looking at your fingers. I think that's pretty fun. That's a fun fact. Dear Savlin, you asked before where I was from. You glad you read my frequently asked questions? Yes, I am from Canada. You always send a gift, but you don't think you Canadians can receive them as money. I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to, dear Savlin. As a Canadian, I certainly do receive money from the gifts that are shared here, which is never expected, by the way. I'm always happy to do these things. That's just a bonus that I deeply appreciate. And fellow Canadians have also been able to give gifts. But if the intention is to give a gift, that's enough for me. If you want to send a rose, you can type a rose emoji. I'll be happy with that. But welcome everyone who joined in the last few minutes. I would love to know how you are doing, and if there's any insights you've had that you want to share. You like that trick with the 9 times table, dear Fiddleleaf? You used it when you were a math teacher. Oh, how interesting. It's very cool to know that you were a math teacher. You still don't know your 6 or 7 times table, dear Talita. Well, that's okay. To be fair, you can go pretty far in life without knowing your times tables. It is not essential to understanding the truth of your existence. In fact, you don't need that much intelligence at all to be able to really go deep in the spiritual path. In fact, it can be even more difficult for people that have really high academic knowledge, because there's a lot more to unlearn, a lot of logic to let go of. So don't you worry. Welcome, dear Andrew. You share that your ability to grow a beard is similar to mine. Yes, we are neck beards. Seems like the case. Anyway, I love the variety of different people's facial hair. I think it's really fascinating. But yes, spiritual understanding is always going to be more important in general in life. Than purely intellectual pursuits. Paravidya versus aparavidya. Savlin, you share, you've heard many Canadians say that they don't get anything from gifts. Oh, it's very strange, dear Savlin. I know that, TikTok doesn't pay their Canadian content creators like they do in the United States, for example. In the United States, you get paid just for making videos. If you're on that creator program. That is what we don't have in Canada. So that all the videos that I made, I never made any money on them, for example. But the gifts should work all around the world, I believe. Maybe that's what other content creators were talking about. Just my guess. But I do wish to always affirm that I am happy to be here no matter what. But I'm always grateful for the community, first and foremost. Oh, good night, dear Tatvamasi. You'll see us more often after the new year. I'm sure many people are busy around this time. That's totally understandable. Dear Myrna, you share at the university, the doctor asked you to write an algebraic equation for an abstract political concept. Right? It'd be very difficult to objectify that. There are, of course, many attempts I've seen, but they're very subjective, ultimately. Myrna, you share one that was like D equals f of A plus f of B plus f of C. D for state, A for people, B for the land, and C for administration. I like that. Yeah. I think it expresses the idea that a state is a function of its people, its land, and the administration. Politics can certainly get very abstract, though. And so can mathematics, but for different reasons. Dear Sky Guardian G, you share I should do a meetup at the Akshardham in New Jersey. Well, that'd be a really interesting place to meet up. What a beautiful place, that temple. I would certainly love to see that one day. Akshardham, of course, being the not just one, but a set of really wonderful ashram/temple complexes in a certain Hindu sect called Swaminarayan. Hello, dear Tanya. My hair is getting long, isn't it? Either that or I'm shrinking. I agree, dear Savlin. It would be beautiful to see this community meet in person. I'm certainly considering that, but I imagine some of those plans will be explored when the vision of this community becomes more and more established over the years. Davy G, you had asked, do I make a lot of money doing lives and creating content? Well, it's a lot of money for me. Yeah, I'm very grateful. It is enough to cover things like food, toiletries, medication, therapy whenever I need it, and a little bit of recreational stuff too. Fortunately, I don't have to pay for rent since I live with my mother in a nice big house with my sister too. It wouldn't be enough to cover rent, unfortunately, but that's okay because I'm very grateful for my current situation. That's true too, dear Bubbles. We could make our own ashram with garlic orchards and bubble baths. Ah, yes, the cornerstones of our community. Dear Sav, you share you need to sub to my Patreon still. Oh, you don't have to. And in fact, I must confess, there's not a lot there. I haven't done anything on Patreon for years now. It's the only reason I keep it up is because there are still people who have subscribed years ago and they have maintained their subscription. I don't think it would have let me close it. But yeah, there are certainly other ways to support this community. One of the most important thing is to engage with each other. It makes me more happy to see the love on each other's faces as you engage in each other's lives and support each other. Remember that I feel like my purpose is to support you, and I feel like I should be using my resources for you, first and foremost. But I can consider doing things on Patreon in the future again. One of the things that I have a troubled time wrapping my mind around is doing things for a price, because I want everything I do to be for free. And it didn't sit with me, the idea of exclusive content for some people that might be in a more financially secure position. Because I'm sure there's others that would love to see the content that I post there, but can't support due to financial reasons, and I wouldn't want to deprive them of that too. So I would have to really think about exploring how I would want to utilize that platform to accommodate that personal need of mine to keep everything I do free for you. I like the idea of taking a retreat together, dear Lisa V. But I see where you were going, Sav, that if I ever do a meetup, it should be a Patreon exclusive event to prevent debauchery. Debauchery. I know what that word means, but I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah. But it's okay. I like to trust in the universe, but maybe that involves trusting you that I should be on guard for things like that too. And thank you, dear Fiddle Leaf, for your rose, your tiny, yippee, and your trio of roses. Hare Krishna. Dear Stevie G, you ask, if I make an ashram, please allow you to live at the ashram. Of course. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the word ashram comes from the word urshi, which means a seer. And so if you just add the letter A to the start, it becomes arshi. And if you modify that ending, instead of E, you have it becomes ashram. It means a place of seers. So I'd have to include you, dear Stevie G, given that you certainly have divine sight in many ways. It seems like we've started a series of different spellings of debauchery, 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 debashery. Good evening, dear Anazek. You guys are funny. But ashrams are beautiful spiritual complexes that have lined, especially the lands of India, for generations. Dear Orla, you share you're from Washington, D.C., and let you say that you must protect me at all costs. Spoken from the place of government. It's an executive order from Orla. Well, the Mrs. President has spoken. It's pronounced debauchery. Thank you, dear Donsuela. Hooligans was the point. Yes, understood. Dear Tanya, you were wondering, do I have a significant other? And who also has my beliefs? I'm saying about the second question. The first question is easy to answer. My significant other is the universe. I am in love with the universe, and that includes all of you. How could I only fall in love with just one part when all of it's so beautiful? At the same time, once I love the whole, I don't feel a need to be intimate with any particular part. But your second question, who also shares my beliefs? Well, here's a question. If I have no beliefs, does everyone share that with me? Or does nobody? Dear Savlin, you shared that you don't use PayPal. Can you send me a tip through my email? You don't have to, dear Savlin. Don't worry about it. You are the greatest gift. I'm not sure of ways to receive other than PayPal. Elisa V, you share your psychology degree makes you want to answer that question. I like how explorative you are about the nature of the psyche. And interact transfer through email, you meant, dear Savlin. Well, I do take e-transfer. Yes. But please don't worry about it. Everything I do is always for free. I say I have no work, to answer dear Clea's question. This happens to be what covers my basic needs, but I would continue to do this even if it didn't. I hope I pronounced it appropriately, dear Clea. If there's a better way, if I can do that, please let me know. Dear Stevie G, you had asked, how do you get to that point where you don't want or yearn for a romantic relationship with humans? I'd love to be able to answer that from a perspective of having gone through a time where I did, but something that is, I guess, a little weird about me is that I've kind of always been that way. So I do have a challenging time putting myself in a position of constantly looking for others, because I have always been just waiting. I've never felt like I needed another person in order to be complete. I've always felt complete just within, my friendships, within my families, within the fun I have with myself, for example. And I also believe that relationships evolve naturally, the best ones, that is. And so the relationships that I have had, they just kind of naturally happened over the course of many weeks to months through friendships getting more personal, and we just very gently began to explore deeper parts of our bodies and minds together. I never dated. I just had friendships that became perhaps intimate and exclusive for a while at the level of intimacy, and then gone through breakups just the same. But I've never been on a dating app, so I don't exactly know what that's like, or been going to bars and looking for people. So it's just kind of natural for me. But I'd love to be able to explore what that's like for me as a possibility within everyone too. I don't think you have to be born like that. But dear Sav, you shared that being demisexual. Oh, that's a really good name for it, yeah. And autism spectrum disorder is common. You're the same way. How interesting. Great to know. Thank you for that, Sav. I never made that connection before. Dear Andrew, you're wondering about probably something different than a Mario character. Different person who goes by the same name as a Mario character. I would prefer to stay out of controversial current events, with the exception of your feelings. If there are feelings surrounding current events that I can address, I'd be happy to address that. But as far as having personal opinions goes, I would like to remain non-biased in this space and just leave more room for personal exploration, especially regarding our feelings surrounding what we hear and read and see in the news. Thank you, dear Anazak, for the heart me you had sent. Om Brahm Bhairvaya Namo Namaha. Dear Lisa V, thank you for your love painting. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Dear Ishananda, you ask, do I think dreams have any meaning at all? Well, given your Sanskrit name, I assume you're familiar with the various koshas, the various sheaths of our being, and dreams are at the level of a kosha, which is even closer to our Ananda Maya kosha, the sheath of bliss, than the physical world. But that meaning is mostly subjective. And I really want to clarify that word every time I use it. I feel like the common usage of the word subjective tends to gain the connotation of not being real. But I think that's only because we have such a big influence of objectivity in our world that we tend to sieve our experiences predominantly through objective lenses. But literally speaking, objective just means intersubjectively verifiable. It means that multiple different people could agree on the same interpretation of some experience objectively, at the level of objects, sense objects, vishayas. And subjective just means that it pertains to a person's unique experience. And dreams are definitely influenced by our unique experiences of life. And so they have a unique meaning to each person. But it's still very meaningful to explore these things, because spirituality is absolutely one that values the subjective perspective. In fact, you could say that subjectivity is a more formal synonym for spirituality, because the subject is the spirit. Greetings, dear Deanna. And yeah, Ananda is such a beautiful name. I concur, meaning bliss in Sanskrit. Dear Clea, you're wondering what country am I from? I'm from Canada. Hello, dear John Simon. Thank you for your heart, me and Rose. Om Tham Namaschandraya. Subjectivity reflects our spirit, And as we embrace our own subjective experience, we connect with our spirituality. You love your dreams, dear Deanna. I'm happy to hear that. Dear Savlin, you sent me an e-transfer from Chantal, but it's not about money, it's about what I give, and I deserve it. Oh, you've gone above and beyond, dear Savlin. Thank you. I look forward to looking for that email when I get a chance. As long as you know that I feel like I am receiving by giving in the most paradoxical sense. Spirit of Karma Yoga is that the true gift of life is to be able to have something worth giving in the first place. And I thank you for the opportunity. Dear Clea, you share you've never been to Canada. You're from Oklahoma. Well, I'm very grateful to live in this country. There are many privileges that I have here that I know other people don't have around the world, and I really think about that a lot. And I'd love to make a world that has similar opportunities that I've been afforded here. And I definitely recommend that people discover some of the treasures of other countries outside their own. Lots of the world to explore. Oh, thank you, dear G. Yes, you all share me. Dear Stevie G, you ask, am I starting a Sanskrit class? If so, you would love to attend. That's a great idea. I would love to learn more Sanskrit myself before I were to start a class. There's lots that I don't know yet that are essential. Sanskrit is an infinite journey. You can spend forever exploring just the sounds. And that's what I've been doing for years now. Just discovering the beauties of the soundscape itself and acquiring a vocabulary list of nouns mainly. But I really have to brush up on my grammar, on my verb conjugations and everything. But I like the idea in the future of having a Sanskrit class. I have confidence in my ability to make it something enjoyable and informative, to connect us with ancient cultures and languages. Dear UK History Talk, you're wondering about the nature of billionaires. Of course, this is a sensitive topic because naturally, every human being wants to be able to generate wealth, and it's a noble goal. But at some point, of course, the natural question arises: if we're just storing the money, hoarding it, and only really using it to just generate even more of it, then what really is the point of having that much wealth? Because certainly the point of money is more than just getting more money. Because then it would just be like a video game points that you're just trying to collect it, but it doesn't actually change any part of the game. The purpose of money is one part to generate, but second part to use as a means of providing value in other ways. Money has the ability to reach around the world when we cannot. For example, when there's humanitarian crises around the world, sometimes we are unable to help directly. Most of the time we are unable to help directly, but almost always we can help financially. So a wise man once said that money is the arms that can hug people from around the world, as long as we use it for that intention. But remember that the true wealth is not in the material, but in the spiritual. We have come into this world. We were not born holding on to a wallet. But our whole body is our wallet, isn't it? Let's invest in our bodies. Let's invest in our minds. Let's invest in our hearts. The true investment is from Mother Earth. We are the investment of Mother Earth, aren't we? Dear Kriya, you're wondering, what is Sanskrit? Sanskrit is a very spiritual language and a very ancient language, and it's still spoken today. It used to also be a common language. People would speak it on the streets. They'd have a conversation in Sanskrit. Nowadays, it's mostly used as something called a liturgical language, which means it's used for liturgy, for spiritual teachings and sermons and religious traditions. You may know Sanskrit from many spiritual terms that remain untranslated in English, like yoga, Sanskrit for union, like dharma, Sanskrit for righteous duty and conduct. You may know of mantra, Sanskrit for sacred sounds, sacred chants, sacred words. You may know of chakras, Sanskrit for center or circle, as the energy centers or circles of energy in the subtle body. You have heard of guru, Sanskrit for... Oh, you'll love this one actually. The etymology is great for guru. Guru becomes gravus in Latin, from guru to grava, and they add the S in Latin to gravus, and then in English that becomes gravity. So we get the English word gravity from the Sanskrit word guru. And you might wonder, how on earth does that work if guru usually means teacher and gravity refers to an attractive phenomenon of the universe? Well, it's due to guru literally meaning one with an attractive personality. That the true gurus are the ones that have so much energy and knowledge that they're just attracting everyone around them. You're a guru. You're heavy with importance, with the weight of spiritual revelation. A person has a gravitas if they're a guru. So those are some of the words that you might be familiar with in Sanskrit, and there's many more. But the most important guru, of course, is what's inside. We all have an inner guru. And certainly, if you find that deep knowledge that's already within you, you will be drawn, sucked into your own self, like a black hole, like a vacuum. That's right, dear Stevie G. There is also a more mystical deconstruction of the word guru into the syllable gu and the syllable ru. Let's explore that for a moment. There's actually a very clear reason as to why guru is the dispeller of darkness in another context. I think you'll like this a lot. This is how you write the word guru in Devanagari. It has 2 syllables. It has gu, of course. And it has ru. So one of the first things to know about Sanskrit is that every sound originates from one of 5 unique places in the mouth. And those 5 unique places in the mouth correspond to the 5 elements: space, air, fire, water, and earth. G is formed at the back of the mouth, so it represents space. The gu sound represents space. That's where the darkness component comes from, because space is empty by itself. And ru is formed at the hard palate of the mouth. Curl your tongue back, flutter your tongue, retroflex. Ru. That represents the fire element. And fire is, of course, associated with light. So gu, ru are syllables in which the consonants are formed first at the region of space and then at the region of fire. So that's the mystical deconstruction of this word. And what's so beautiful is the element of water is also in it. That's the vowel U. U is a labial vowel, U, and that represents the flow aspect of it. So the relationship between space and fire from the G and the R sound is in the U, which represents a flow from the darkness of space to the light of the fire, Guru. And so that's why if you deconstruct the syllables mystically, that you get that alternative etymology. Good night, dear Marcy. Dear Soul, you ask, how important is Sanskrit to learn for spirituality? It's not necessary by any means, but it can be really helpful if you're interested in that sort of thing. I love it. I have fallen in love with the language itself. But there have been many people that have been very spiritual without ever even learning Sanskrit, so don't see it as a qualification necessary to be spiritual. But in the tradition of the Vedas, Sanskrit is the language of the Vedas. And so in Vedic lineages, it is quite important. I wouldn't say it's necessary, but learning Sanskrit is definitely going to help you very immensely by understanding the language of these revelations. Elisa V, you ask, am I telling you that words have elements when broken down? Yes, and in Sanskrit, the elements of the sounds tell you what the meaning of the word is. How amazing is that? That if you learn a new word that you've never heard of before, in Sanskrit, you can just break down the elements and then see how they come together, and then that tells you how the word means. And if you ever forget that, all you have to do is meditate on how you form the sounds in your mouth, and that tells you about which elements are used and the energies that animate them. So cool indeed, yeah. Sanskrit can be really beneficial. It can be a whole sadhana, a whole component of spiritual practice. Dear Stevie G, you ask, is it true that your guru is always with you in the third eye? I think what you're pointing to is the connection between the chakras and the elements. The first 5 elements of the chakras are earth, water, fire, air, and space. And then in the third eye, it's a different principle, beyond the elements, a different tattva. I'm opening here a great book on the chakras called The Hidden Power in Humans by Paramahans Swami Maheshwarananda. There's the Vishuddhi chakra. Let's see, where's the Ajna? The third eye. There it is. Indeed. I don't know if you can see this, but the principle, the tattva of the third eye is the Guru tattva. If you can see right here, the principle of the third eye chakra is the Guru tattva. The name for the third eye chakra in Sanskrit is Ajna. Unfortunately, this is actually an incorrect transliteration. It's pronounced Ajna, difficult to pronounce, but it means knowledge. It's a way of saying knowledge, but in reference to the knowledge that you see, it's related to the root Ajna, which means to know, which is where we get the English word to know. And the K used to be pronounced, it was more like kano, and that came from the Greek gna, which came from the Sanskrit nya. J-N-Y is that consonant cluster. You almost never see a J and an N-Y next to each other. Nya. Anyway, if a guru represents that which can take you from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, they do so through their vision, through their ability to see and perceive the truth. And that's why the third eye tattva, or the third eye principle, is the guru principle. Represents having that awakened vision, to be able to see the truth directly. It does kind of, yeah, it does sound like the consonant cluster in lasagna. That is very close. In fact, I wonder how it's pronounced originally, lasagna. It might indeed be the same. Dear Lily B, you're wondering, which books would I recommend for someone getting into spirituality? It's a beautiful question, dear Lily B. What part of spirituality do you like the most? And it's okay if your answer changes over time, but in this moment, what feels intuitive for you when it comes to answering that question? And dear Lily Bear, you're wondering of any spiritual songs similar to George Harrison's stuff. Oh, I don't know of any in particular, but I can tell you what tradition George Harrison was a part of. He was a part of the movement called Krishna Consciousness, which gets its foundation in a text called the Bhagavad Gita, a song sung by a form of the divine called Krishna to a warrior prince named Arjuna. That's right, Mirna. Enye is that, the N with a tilde over it in Spanish, which, fun fact, used to actually just be another N. Before they had Enye, they just write a double N, and then the N's got stacked on each other. And so it'd be N with a tiny N on top, and then the tiny N on top eventually became a squiggle. And then it became known as the Enye. Dear Hia Dele Luna, you're wondering about the book that I was holding up. You're asking about The Hidden Power in Humans by Paramahansa Swami Maheshwarananda, about chakras and kundalini. We read the entirety of that book on my YouTube channel, in case you want a free audiobook experience. Shh. But given that it was sent by the disciple, a disciple or devotee of the author, I think it was given with the consent to read publicly together. Dear Lily, you share you want to feel more at peace and more connected. You can absolutely do so through the teachings of Krishna that George Harrison fell in love with. In fact, the tapestry that's behind me is very similar to something George Harrison would wear as a shawl or a scarf. But his would have a different mantra on it. His had the Maha Mantra in an ancient scripture called the Kali Santarana Upanishad. It said that there is one great mantra that when chanted by anyone, in any place, at any time, in any rhythm, in any tone, can bring you into infinite peace, regardless of qualification. Even if you just hear someone else chant this mantra and you don't know what it means, it can enlighten them. The Upanishads, by the way, are an ancient set of scriptures that also stem from the Vedas. I actually do have some Upanishads next to me. These are an ancient set of revelations called the Vedas, but they're so complicated that you need many other layers of books to unravel their meaning. One of the highest levels of unravelation, is that a word? Of unraveling is the Upanishads that kind of bring you into the ultimate understanding of the truths of the Vedas. One of those Upanishads is called the Kali Santarana Upanishad, and it's very short, and it tells you how you can achieve liberation from suffering, achieve peace through chanting of a very specific mantra. Dear Anna, thank you for your heart mate. Om Hrim Namah Shivaya. Maybe instead of using the word unravelation and interpretation. Thank you for the follow, dear Luke. Deanna, you asked if I could say that again about the free audiobook. Yeah, all the books that we read here, I also put the clips of those readings on my YouTube channel in a playlist. And one of the books that we finished together was The Hidden Power in Humans. So we read through the whole thing live, just as we've been reading through another book. And the whole reading is there. And many other full audiobooks over the past year that we've been reading, doing daily lives, daily readings. Thank you, dear Christopher, for your heart mate. Om Hrim Brahma. You like the poetic license, dear Fiddleleaf, thank you. Radhe Radhe, dear Hari. Thank you, baby kittens, for the follow. are getting to a point where it'd be appropriate to land the plane of this live stream. I'm so grateful for everyone's engagement here. Thank you. I do have a question of the day. Hello, dear Anna Banana. You had asked what I think about the orbs that are popping up everywhere. Must be collectible items, because whenever I played a video game and there were orbs around, they were experience points. Something to add to your experience in some way. If you want to 100% the game, you gotta collect them all. I don't know. But if any of you have more experience surrounding that topic, you're welcome to share. But if you're worried in any way, don't worry. There's always something weird happening. Every year there's weird things. And we continue forward in our spiritual journeys. We continue to discover how no matter what happens in the world, everything we need is inside. Fret not. But it's wonderful to be mystified and wonder about the nature of these things that lie outside our understanding. I'll always emphasize inner resources during uncertain times. Anyway, I have a question of the day for all of you. Today I'm wondering, what do you do when you want to scream, but you can't? Maybe people are sleeping, or other reasons. What do you do? I have a strange feeling this is relatable for some of you. Such is why I asked it today. I'd love to know your experiences surrounding this. You punch the air. Shares, ooh, that's a great option. Yeah. Air doesn't get hurt when you punch it. Unless you're one of those shrimps. There's a certain kind of shrimp that can punch so fast that literally creates bubbles that collapse into light itself. You cry, dear Magdalene Rain. You make it rain. You dance, share soul. I like that. Dear Marcy, you share, you bite down on something, or amounts to people that you're holding it in. I'm not sure I fully understood the last part of that comment. No biting people, Marcy, we talked about this. No, I'm just kidding. I don't assume that's what you meant. But yeah. Thank you, dear Ostlanding, for your quintet of tiny tinies. Yippee! Thank you for your thoughts so far, everyone. Cry or move, shares Lily B. Yeah. Express yourself in other ways. Engage in movement. EFT tapping. It's Pluto! Nice to see you again. I forget what EFT tapping is, but I learned about it from you all recently. Different places on the body to tap for grounding purposes. You can scream into the pillow, shares Maya. Hello, dear Sunshine Coast. You share you can't calm down. I'm sorry to hear that. This too shall pass. Every time you've experienced distress before, you've always had a moment of calm come later. Trust in that again, and I'm here for you. This too shall pass. Remember to reflect on things that you're grateful for, no matter how small, like a ground holding us up, warm blankets, loving community. Dear Hari, you share. You can cry, you can go outside, you can run. Other answers to our question of the day. Don Suela, you share, you tend to cry, or you breathe. I like that. And Talita, you share, you scream anyway. Long hot shower, shares G. Burning the skin a little. Yeah, make your skin scream for you, maybe. But don't burn yourself, of course. Yeah, I love all these methods so far. I love the diversity and similarity. A lot of you speak of the importance of crying, silent screams. It's very nice to see you, dear Pluto. Dear Ragnhildur, you share, you hold your breath and you exhale forcefully. Also cold water and ice on face and hands. Another technique with temperature. I like that. That's a very interesting and unique exercise, Ragnhildur. I'll have to remember that. Yeah. Oh, I'm so grateful for all of these answers. Myrna, you share, you don't remember that you have ever felt the need to scream aloud. Yeah, I think I'm with you there. There have been a few times where I've felt the need, but I know that friends and family in my life find it something that they think about or participate in at times, so I asked this question for those of us that do. Dear Deanna, you share, whenever you are triggered, you strive to look past the experience to the truth, then meditate on it. That's very powerful indeed. There are lots of different ways to release one's emotions. You like to deep breathe too, Stevie G. Or you say bad words, you make mean faces, or you raise your voice a bit and run and move. I love how honest you are, Stevie G. Yeah. I have to admit, I also have a sailor's mouth at times when no one's around. Not always necessary, thankfully. But such powerful words can release powerful emotions. Dear Email, or Emily, you can tell me the best way to pronounce your name that you prefer. You like to delete social media accounts. Yeah, distance yourself from things that are causing the need to scream. Dear Taylor, you share, you eat, you separate, you breathe, you speak in your mind. I love that. Ways of engaging the rest and digest response, both physically and mentally. I think it's always important to be honest about our feelings. Dear G, you share, you've had a few really intense shouts and screams with people around. I'm sure it's just the Divine Mother coming out as Durga or Kali. She is the one who cannot be silenced. I respect that. You scream in your head, shares Taylor. I like that alternative. Or you huff around silently. You huff and you puff, and then you blow the whole thing down. I really appreciate all this open expression of feelings, everyone. I think it's really beautiful how much vulnerability we have here. I think it's not common that you'd see this on the internet, especially in public spaces like this. It's something that I treasure. Deanna, you share, you are a calm person in the face of any seeming crisis. You work with compromised children. Patience is key. Situation presented are not from the soul. Wow. I really admire that, dear Deanna. It sounds like you've had to learn these things to be able to do well in the role that you play for these children. It's beautiful. I'm lucky to be able to know of your wisdom that you share here. You certainly add to the uniqueness of this space. Dear Taylor, you share, you have used your car as a safe place to scream. Yes, you and my friend Macy. Macy does that too. In Doom Night, you share, you screamed in your car the other day. That's a great place to be alone. Well, thank you for coming together with me, dear Savlin. It's completely valid to express yourself in ways that don't cause harm. If you have a safe place to scream, that's totally valid. That's a very powerful connection, dear Doom Knight. Deanna, you share, you have learned, having a child of your own that was on the spectrum, and not wanting to give labels, but just embodying your sweet soul daughter for who she is. I love that. Well, it takes one to know one when it comes to sweet souls, that is. And certainly if anyone does want to explore the concept of safe spaces, if you have a safe space, I think it would be good to reflect on that, acknowledge your safe space, bring it to mind, have gratitude for that. Maybe it's your car, maybe it's your bed or your bedroom or closet, or for my mother, I think it's her bathroom. She just loves being there. It's her safe space. She lights candles and sits on the floor. I think that's endearing. Taylor, you share, safe spaces begin inside in your experience. I love that. Can we create an inner safe space in our heart? Yeah. And Azek, you share, you would let loud music and then start to cry. That's very powerful too. And Taylor, you share, you sometimes engage with deep, deep breathing, slowly in and slowly out. You're just full of wonderful ideas, Taylor. I'm really grateful for that. Thank you. Dear Robbie, you share, this is a little random, but do I have any advice to get over your ex? I think, did you ask this before? I'm not sure if maybe I answered after you had already left. If that was the case, I apologize. But anyway, I'm happy to return to this concept. I'm sorry to hear that you are struggling in that way. It's never easy going through a breakup. But I think my simplest piece of advice is honor that love and honor the fact that in true love you wish for the other's happiness. And if you can find that place of agape love within you, that unconditional love, then you can even be happy for the fact that they're discovering their own independence. They're discovering ways of pursuing their happiness. And it really validates the love we had by making it unconditional. I can tell you from my experience that one of the most pivotal moments in my high school breakup, which was really hard for me, is when I discovered that my ex had gotten together with a friend of mine. And at first, of course, for a moment, I was really upset. Now I hate my friend. But then I realized how much I love my friend and what I like about my friend. And then the more I thought about all the things I liked about my friend, I realized that I had trust somewhere within me, that I knew that he'd be great for her too. That because they're a friend, and I know that they have the ability to create meaningful relationships and be there for each other. And when that clicked, I was like, wow, now I'm actually really happy for her because I know that he's a great guy. And in that way, more generally, if we can trust that our previous partner is just pursuing, on top of all the lessons that you've been able to have together, ways to be loved even more, then we can be happy in a very powerful way. That we love from afar, that we see them succeed, even in their future relationships, because we know that ultimately their happiness was most important. And it continues to be the most important if you allow them to explore that independently. I'm happy you find a lot of safety here, dear Sav. And thank you for the butterfly for you that you sent. Om Namaste Tiryai. The butterfly mantra. Oh, we gotta add the Goop Bija, right? Om Goop. Namaste Tiryai. I'm not familiar with that terminology, dear Elisa V. Vortex breathing. I might know it by another name, if you could tell me what that surrounds. But I always like to explore different breathing techniques. My name. You can't spell breathwork in Sanskrit without my name. My name is Yam. In Sanskrit, breathwork is called pranayama. Dear Stevie G, you had another answer for a question of the day. You can throw and punch things. That can be very therapeutic, as long as these things are unimportant to you or anyone else. Or they can really take a punch, like a pillow or the ground. Dear Pat, you go out for a walk with your dog. You cry a little and take a deep breath to go on. That's beautiful. I love that. Myrna, you share when you were little, you used to hide in your parents' closet under the winter jackets. Aww. Well, I'm sorry for any reason that you had to hide, but it's sweet that you had a place that you felt was safe. That sounds very cozy, actually. Dear Jessie, you add to that a long, slow drive in nature, alone with thoughts, emotions, and anything in between. I like that too. I'm surprised just how many answers we're getting for this question. This might be one of the most engaged questions that we've asked. Surprises me. A sense of safety. So important. Dear Deanna, when I was talking about my relationship with my ex, you share the topic of profound forgiveness and grace, that you were like that with your ex-husband. You remarried a woman much younger. Well, the fact that you were able to find forgiveness, amazing, and it's a gift to yourself, truly. Dear Robbie, you had asked for clarification to appreciate and respect the love you once held and don't regret it in a way. Absolutely, yeah, that's an important part of it. Just because you're exploring different paths in life right now doesn't invalidate that love. There's no takesy-backsies when it comes to the love. There might be takesy-backsies when it comes to the privileges that we offer each other, like to what extent we're involved with each other physically, financially, romantically, responsibly, etc. But the love will always continue. Dear G, what are you apologizing for? If you had another comment come through, I didn't get it. So just randomly I see your comment that says, sorry, just remembered. I don't know what you're apologizing for remembering, but it's funny out of context. Oh, I'm sorry, I just remembered. Well, I hope whatever you remembered was a happy memory. Dear Stevie G, you ask, do I think Christmas has been celebrated wrongly or misused? Well, there is certainly room to discuss how there's a lot of unnecessary components that are often expected or assumed. Like doing things as a family. You know, you don't have to. Especially if you're going through a rough time and maybe everyone needs a little space from each other. That's totally valid. You can skip a year and come back when you're maybe more healed from some of the ways that we've been traumatized. Of course, the expectation to give a gift, that can be really burdensome for many. The expectation to put on a jolly face and not ruin the mood, that can sometimes limit people's ability to express themselves freely, openly. And it's important to validate everyone's individual needs. Some people need some time to just do their own thing, maybe 1 year. Some people need some space from some family members. Some people maybe really need that connection. But what's definitely not necessary is all of the commodification. Did I use that word right? Turning everything into a commodity, that you need to pay money to have a happy Christmas. No, you don't have to spend any money to have a happy Christmas. Sometimes the best gifts are just the experiences, sharing times with each other. If you really want to make someone's day, all you need to do is get a piece of paper, if you have one lying around, fold it in half, get a pen, crayon, whatever, write them a card. It doesn't have to be a store-bought one even. Many ways to make each other smile. Dear Adrian, you ask, do I think gift giving is a good part of Christmas? Absolutely, but gift receiving is secondary. It's about the giving rather than the receiving. I hope that makes sense. Not about what you get, it's about what you give. And certainly, homemade gestures of kindness are always superior. And experiences over commodities. Yes, good night, dear Deanna. May you have a wonderful sleep and may you wake up energized for your day tomorrow. And thank you everyone for exploring that question of the day. I see that we transitioned smoothly into another topic, so I'll pause it there for now. But I'll leave it with my own answer that instead of screaming, what we can do is we can make something that screams for us, like a piece of music, for example, or a piece of art, that if you just listen to that, or you looked at it, that you go, wow, something about what's in this art is just loud. Thank you, dear Anazek, for your 18 roses. Om Brahmbhairvaya Namo Namah. Dear Lily B, thank you for your rose and a trio of roses too. Radhe Radhe. Dear Savlin, you share that sentimental over material is your life motto. I love that. Hello, dear Rhiannon. Art is love. Personal artistic experiences are how we sing the songs of our soul. Dear Stevie G, I see you're wondering about the nature of Santa Claus, as you don't think you're ever lying to your kid about Santa. Well, let me flip the script on you, dear Stevie G. I remember the other day you were talking about connecting some of the traditions to other cultures and practices, like the practices that come from Norse mythology, from paganism, etc. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but under the hood of what you shared about being hesitant toward modern practices is really just an expression of appreciation for some more ancient practices that haven't been a game of telephone. And if you do feel like that's true for you, then I would encourage to focus on the positive aspect for you. Thank you, dear Savlin, for your 11 roses too. Om Shrim Mahalakshmiyai Namaha. What do I mean? I'd be happy to clarify. Oftentimes, when we are, let's say, criticizing a certain practice, what's being expressed is not what's in our heart. Sometimes what's in our heart is really a kind of love for something else. And what we really want to express is the love for something else. But it can come across as a critique for what already is. But the intention is to shift the perspective, to raise awareness for something else. And that, I think, is a beautiful thing, of course. Does that make a little more sense? Dear Sav, you're wondering if I can say the butterfly mantra again. Of course. Om Goop Namastityai. May you find your wings. Kumari VG, you share, you just wish we didn't live on so many lies. In other words, you do wish for us to live in truth. And that's my point. I'm just rephrasing what you said in terms of a presence. But I have to confess that I love the story of Santa. And I don't feel like it's dishonest because the point isn't to trick. And I think that's what's something to be avoided in a lie. In a lie, the intention is to misguide. But the story of Santa is not an intentionally misguiding story. It's a modern mythology. And in thousands of years, I'm sure it will be treated just as any other mythology. The intention is to create wonder in a child's heart. And sure, Santa doesn't literally come in the same way that the Tooth Fairy doesn't literally come, or the Easter Bunny, but it wasn't to put a child under an illusion. Because if you grow up, you discover as a parent that it's so wonderful to share those experiences too. If you don't want to, that's okay. It's different for everyone. But now that I'm older, I see, wow, the real Santa is my mom and my dad. And so it wasn't that Santa wasn't real. It was that my parents were really Santa. And that's a very distinct difference. Because instead of feeling like I've been tricked, it was like I was ready to finally understand the magic of my parents. That the true magical beings were my parents. That they embody Santa and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy, etc. Truly, the magic lives through them in their ability to connect with their children, such as myself. Yes. It's good to have that discernment where you're able to see the possibilities as well as the limitations. And it's good to be aware of and acknowledge both. The Easter Bunny isn't real, asks G. Well, actually, I have seen many lovely bunnies on Easter Day. It seems to be one of the things that the universe loves to treat me with, is if I ever go on a walk on Easter Day, I usually find a bunny somewhere. A live bunny hopping around. Now, whether or not that bunny is capable of laying eggs, I haven't asked it. But I did have a beautiful moment last Easter where I did see a bunny on my Easter walk. I love the bunnies. I really love bunnies, yes. Dear Melinda, you're wondering what song is playing. Let's see if I can get you an answer to that. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like the playlist we're listening to. Oh, wait. Oh, never mind. Yeah, sorry, I don't think the playlist explains the names of each song. We are 3 hours into an 8-hour video on YouTube called A Christmas Coffee Shop Ambiance, with relaxing Christmas jazz music, crackling fire, and cafe sounds. Dear Lily B, you ask, do I have a favorite animal? Yeah, you're my favorite animal, Lily. Dear Savlin, you share the night Christ was born is the song. Ah, Holy Night. Just a kind of little jazzy version on the piano. It's beautiful. It's very relatable, dear. Ooh. Yeah. I remember someone said to me that we're children when we realize, or we are children for as long as we believe that our parents are perfect. And we're teenagers when we realize that they're imperfect. But then we're adults when we realize that they're perfectly imperfect. My mom likes to remind me that I didn't come out of the womb with a manual. That this is her first time being my mother. Alright, I would like to transition into our final segment for the night, which is our Nididhyasana portion dedicated to, I was going to say sleep. That's right, it's nap time, everyone. Let's all have a communal nap. It looked like I was drinking the universe there, shares Don Sweta. Aha. Ooh. I am. So my intentions for this final segment, Nididhyasana, is to supplement our understanding of the things we've shared throughout the live so far, and conclude with some practical kind of spiritual practice for us to engage in together. So, allow me to transition scenes. It's my galaxy goblet. That's right, Dalita. So if any of you want to participate, we'll be ending with a guided meditation. And like yesterday, I wanted to leave it open to something that you wanted to do. If you wanted to do a guided meditation, what would you like to cover in that guided meditation? I'd happily improvise one for you. Maybe we can have a nice set of 3 themes to cover for a guided meditation. Just whatever the first 3 things I read are from you. So if you wanted to ask yourself if there's something you wanted to meditate on, what would that be? G writes family. Stevie G writes healing and aligning all of our layers of our being. And Ragnhildur writes a safe space. Those are the 3. Alright, perfect. Family, healing and aligning our layers of being, all of them, and safe spaces. I like these. Okay. Family, healing, safe space. Got it. Your suggestions were too silly? Well, now I have to know, Rhiannon. Tell me. And I may or may not incorporate it. Just as a bonus. Thank you, Karina, for your heartbeat. Om Dum Durgaya Namah. Dear Savlin, thank you for your 10 roses. Om Goob Namastityurya. going to wait a moment to see if Rhiannon shares a silly suggestion. Otherwise, I will proceed. Woodland creatures and their togetherness. That's not silly at all. That's a great one. Maybe we can save that for another time. I love that. Very wholesome. Okay, here's a poll. Let me actually make sure that I get a poll going for this. A quick poll. Okay, this is between... I don't know why they choose these emojis. It makes the choice biased, I feel. So don't worry about the literal meaning of these emojis. But there's going to be a quick 60-second poll between a happy-looking emoji, a very specific one, and a crying-looking emoji, very specific one too. The happy-looking one will represent keeping the Christmas music in the background, and the flowing of tears represents letting the Christmas music go. So the poll is up. So it's the happy emoji represents keeping Christmas music for the meditation. It's a happy face that has a mouth open and the eyes are closed. And the crying emoji is where you're just pouring tears, you know, or it's two waterfalls out each eye, in case you can't see them on your screen. Looks like most people are preferring keeping the Christmas music. Gotcha. Sounds good, everyone. Democracy. Oh wait, it's a little close. 8 to 6, 5 seconds left. Well, it looks pretty close, but the winner was keeping the Christmas music. As a compromise, I'll keep the Christmas music, but I'll turn it down a little bit. Guided meditation. Tonight, let us meditate on the relationship between our family, our healing, and having a safe space in general. If you'd like to join me in this, I certainly encourage you to find a place that's comfortable for you. Just relax as much as you can physically. Release the tension in your jaw. Drop all the little micro expressions in your face. Make sure that your tummy is not feeling like it's under pressure. Keeping a straight back can help with that. Dropping your shoulders, maybe doing a little wiggle. Whatever feels right for you. Create that safe place within your body. It's so important that we feel safe in our body. And I know a lot of people struggle with feeling safe in their body. And so this meditation is for you, and I trust that you will be feeling more safe as we go through this body. Let's start with a a scan from top to bottom. Just by familiarizing yourself with an environment, can you feel more safe? Same is absolutely true with this wonderful system we call human body, that comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes and forms, of different capacities, abilities, all valid. Usher in awareness, the crown of your head, down the sides of your head. Feel the space inside your head fill with calm, relaxing vibrations. Feel your ears light up, your eyes, your nose, your cheeks, your lips, your chin, and every part that lights up. Imagine that part of you says, "Hello." Or maybe in return you say, "Hello." Doesn't have to be in that voice, but say hello to each body part. Feel introduced to it. Even if you've met it a million times before, pretend like it's your first time. Hello forehead. Hello jaw. Hello cheeks. Hello eyelids. Hello cowlick. Hello back of the neck. Hello Adam's apple. Hello my spine. Continue to bring awareness from top down. Usher in love, presence, awareness to your shoulders that are just perfect. Not too wide. Not too narrow. Your traps, to your collarbone, to your ribs, to your chest. Bring love down your back. Light up those arms, elbows. Say an extra snazzy hello to your weenus. Skin on the underneath of your elbow. Very funny body part. Gotta say hello twice to that. Hello. Hello. Feel all the energy course through your wrists, all of the many bones that connect your arm to your hand. Say hello to your palm and your fingers. They're not too chubby, they're perfect. Not too skinny, not too long, not too short. You are the most beautiful version of yourself. You are exactly what you're meant to look like. Bring in love to your tummy, to your waist. Feel all the lights down your spine light up. Ding, 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 ding. Bring love, awareness, presence to your hips, to your thighs, to your knees, to your shins, to your ankles, to your feet, and to your sole of your feet. They call the bottom part of our feet the soul because it's what connects us with this world. Just kidding. That's not factually true, but it makes for a great pun. But it is true that our feet connect us to the world, just like how our soul connects us with the world. Our body is our vehicle. We are not our vehicle, but that doesn't mean we don't have a responsibility to take care of it. You can take care of your car, make sure that its engine is running clean. You can make sure that it's washed. Make the inside and outside nice and beautiful. It's all wonderful. Nothing wrong with that. Cars come in different shapes and sizes. But your safe space is inside the car. You are the driver of the car, the soul. You have acquired this body from a mother. She has acquired the nutrients from the bigger mother, the great mother, Mother Nature, Mother Earth. As such, the way in which your body was put together, manufactured, has a lot to do with the history of your ancestry and your family. A common question arises within everyone's life, naturally. How much responsibility do we have with our family? The answer is, if they love us, then we should strive to take care of them. We should serve them and love them back. Some of us don't have the privilege of having a biological family or a family that's very loving. And that's okay too. The real family, of course, is in your companionship with those that do provide a familial kind of love to you. You know your people, you get to choose them. As it said in the Bible, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Some of you were telling me recently that there's a shorthand of that saying that seems to imply the opposite. That blood is thicker than water, which is funny, because the full quote means that the blood of the covenant, the people you convene with, that has greater cohesion than the water of one's womb, one's biological family, for example. But many of us are also fortunate in that our family also includes our biological family. And that is a big, big blessing that we are privileged in. And for those of us that can say that, may we pray for others who have also have space in this life or the next life to have that a possibility for them too. And during these holiday times, let us not hold grudges against our families. Let us hold space for connection, open communication. Allow ourselves the honor of setting boundaries and standing up for vulnerable members of our family too. Our body is our instrument of love. Here we can create a space of safety within and use that instrument to create safe places without, especially for each other during the holidays. Then we expand that safety to include more and more parts of our experience inclusively. And the more we do that, the more we deepen our healing journey too. Because so much healing happens when we look within for support, for validation, and once that has been found, we begin to expand that like an aura everywhere we go, to everyone we meet, in every situation we see. So validating to first, after having gone through an externally invalidating experience, discover all the validation we need within, and then work on that, bring it out, and use that to help others too in their journey of healing. As you do unto others, so do you do unto yourself. Since we are not our body, our mind, and they are instruments, we have a duty not just to them, but to every body and every mind. By taking care of this instrument, we can help others find their tune as well. Just like when you need to tune an instrument in a band, that you play a note on another instrument that you know is already tuned, that can help others find their tuning too. As we take care of this body, this mind, we show others how to take care of their bodies, their minds too. Remember to breathe deeply. So much of healing comes when we attend to our ancestral knowledge. We might have a hard time connecting with our most immediate nuclear family, but if you go far enough into your ancestry, I'm sure you'll find things that you love, many things that may break your heart too. A lot of trauma is carried epigenetically from one generation of a family to the next. We can heal those wounds by breaking free from those cycles, striving to attend to those parts that other parts of our family and ancestry didn't quite have the knowledge or tools yet to be able to attend to with. And remember that we're all family, because we all come from the Divine Mother, who is the universe, and the Divine Father, who art the inspiration of the universe. And in that we are all brothers and sisters, and those in between and beyond, siblings in general. And our healing journeys are connected with everyone else. May we all continue to create that safe space within, and have enough room in it to share with everyone else too. Namaste. That will conclude our guided meditation for tonight. And with that, the Nididhyasana, the last part of our Sangha. I pray that it was relaxing or helpful in some way for you. Thank you everyone for being a part of this live stream. Thank you for meditating with me, pardon my hiccup. By connecting with your true family, or by connecting with your family truly, you heal. And through healing, you honor that safe space within you. All connected. Thank you for finding beauty in our soul, dear Annie. Thank you, dear Gina, for your rose. Om Namah Karnim Ambita Me Shoring Nadita Me Horing Devita Me Aim Saraswatyai Swaha. I like that question, G. Are you aware of the beauty around each of you? Look for it. You will be amazed at how much beauty is already there. Thank you, dear Stevie G, for being a part of the community. If anyone had any interesting experiences while you meditated, do feel free to share in these last few moments. And continue to reflect on all the things we shared here if you found any of it valuable. Anytime we experience something new, reflection is a vital part of integrating our experience. If there's any key insights that we've had here together, please do feel free to share those too over the course of the whole live stream. Thank you, dear Anazek, for your quintet of roses. Om Sadhyo Jatam Prapadyami Sadhyo Jataya Vai Namo Namah Bhave Bhave Nati Bhave Bhavasvamam Bhavod Bhavaya Namah. Dear Usha Priyaji, thank you for your flowers. Om Ishana Sarva Vidyanam Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Brahma Dipati Brahmano Dipatir Brahma Shivo Meyastu Sada Shiva Om. Dear Stevie G, you share you feel like this was needed and helped heal wounds and or blockages connected to your ancestors. I remember that you've been feeling a lot of connection open up with your ancestors lately, and so I'm happy to assist in that process with you. Nighty night, dear Magdalene, Snuffleupagus Rain. May the moon and stars watch over you tonight as you rest. Beautiful. May peace flow through your souls and keep them bright. Such lightheartedness. Thank you for being beautiful, everyone. I know you can't help it. You felt we were all one, dear Christine. You are at peace. And you are peace itself. Namaste, dear Anasek. Good night. So much love here, dear Ragnhildur. Agape love. Indeed. Something I hope to always honor and hold high above myself. Thank you to my lovely moderators for helping keep the peace. And thank you for helping me be humble. If ever I lose my patience, you call me out, okay? I want everyone to hold me accountable to the best version of the host that I can be for you all. If there's any way in which I can make this space more inclusive next time, please let me know. May this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Lead us from the unreal Asatya to the real Satya. Lead us from darkness, Tamas, to the light, Jyoti. Lead us from death, Mrita, to deathlessness, Amrita. Om, may there be Shanti, peace in us, may there be Shanti, peace in our environment, and may there be Shanti, peace in the forces that act on us. I'm honored to know you, dear G, and guests. Dear Rhiannon, you share, you can't express how much the space has helped you with the consistent outpouring of peace and love. I'm honored to have a space that's capable of carrying an infinitesimal portion of all of that peace and love that you are, dear Rhiannon. May we all continue to be committed to growth, to connect with the ancient ones and bring their wisdom to the modern time, adapting as we grow and learn new things. And may you all have a wonderful, happy holidays. Happy solstice, everyone. The darkest day of the year. Best day if you worship Kali. Do something special for the dark mother in you. Sing to the moon. Do a ritual with water. Whatever you want. Great to honor the solstice. And from here on, the days are only going to get longer and longer in the northern hemisphere. For those in the southern hemisphere, it's the summer solstice, isn't it? So happy summer solstice to you. Am I going to do a live tomorrow, dear Anna? Yeah, I don't think I have any plans tomorrow. But if I get abducted by aliens, or if my tummy hurts, or or if something happens, then I may have other things to prioritize. So I can't promise, but it is my intention to do another live tomorrow. And as always, if there's any part of this live that you felt was of value, do know that it won't be lost to time, and I will upload it on my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel, along with the meditation, the reading, and the show and tell, in each their own playlists too, so you can look that up in the link tree in my bio, or just look up Yamsox Lives. I'll try for 5 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. See you in the Discord, dear G. If anyone else wants to continue holding space for things we share here, also check out the link tree in the bio for the Discord icon, where it's an online set of chat rooms for us to explore different topics, and I hope to see you there. Oh yeah, if aliens grab me, Stevie G, you're coming with me. You're my +1 to go to the mothership. Yes, and everything I mentioned is free. Everything I do is free. All right. May you all have a wonderful rest of your holiday celebrations or solstice celebrations. Seasons are changing, and the Gregorian calendar, we're coming up to the next year. Big change, symbolizing coming of new experiences and the letting go of our old ones. May you all have a wonderful rest of your present moment. I wish you all everlasting joy. Ho, 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 ho. And thank you, Inevitable, for your trio of roses that you snuck in there at the end. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.